Hey, what is up YouTube? This is Brainer225 and today I have an update to my vampire deck profile for the November 2018 format and to the December 2018 format and to the 2019 format. And this is going to be my competitive build, and this is also a budget build. I bought 3 of the Zombie Horde structure deck, and it came with Mizuki, Gozuki, which is what I needed to make this deck a lot better. And I know you probably left in my last vampire deck profile that I should run Mizuki and Gozuki. I probably should have read those comments. I forgot to read those, and I probably will. But I now included those, and you also see some of the newer cards from the Zombie Horde structure deck that I included in here. And you are going to see how I have truly unlocked the full power of vampires. And this is going to amaze you. The extra deck is a little bit budget. Obviously, you see Vampire Sucker. I only have one. It is like $9 to $10, but I only have one. I feel like one is all you need. I know you should run 2. I plan to get another one in the future, but for right now, I got 1. But without further ado, let's get started. Also, you see I don't have sleeves on them. Well, that's because I wanted to get my deck profile out as soon as possible. First off, 2 Scarlet Scourge. This is the best one of the best vampires in your deck. For one, it's the Yugioh Guardian of the deck. It's one of the Yugioh Guardians. Actually, I think it's the only Yugioh Guardian one in the deck. Because when you attack with this monster, and if you destroy a monster with it by battle, you get to bring it back to your side field during the end phase. And when this card is normal special summon, you can target vampire monster in your graveyard except Scarlet Scourge, and you pay 1,000 life points to get to special summon it. And this vampire deck, it's all about bleeding your life points out and special summoning monsters and giving up life to win battles, and you're about to see why. Next up is this is more of like a pure build without hand traps, but this is kind of like the only hand trap you have in the deck. Triple Vampire Fraulein. Fraulein is like the only versatile hand trap you'll ever need in the deck, because you special summon from the hand whenever a monster attacks, whenever your opponent attacks or you attack. So basically, if I go second and my opponent has a Chaos Max out, and I bring out my Scarlet Scourge, and I attack with it, I special summon Fraulein from the hand, I give up 3,000 life points, bring him up to 52, and he takes 200 points of damage, or I would only give up 2,000, which is what I would likely do, which would be the best option. And then if I have Vampire's Domain out, I would gain 200 life points back, and I will explain that when I get to Vampire's Domain. Next up, 2 Vampire Familiar and 2 Vampire Retainer. These cards are your main search cards. Vampire Retainer searches your monsters, and Vampire Familiar searches your monsters, and Retainer searches your spells and traps. Sorry, words come out of my mouth. You pay 500 life points from each of these to search your spells and traps. Well, sorry. Retainer searches your spells and traps. Familiar searches your monsters, and you pay 500 life points from each to activate their effects. So, when you special summon one in any way, shape, or form, you get to pay 500 life points to search for the monster, which is what this one does. This one searches the spells and traps. Likely you search Vampire's Domain or Vampire Domination if you don't have either one in your hand. And this one is what you search for your monsters to do your combo fillers, and this is also your combo filler. They're both the main combo fillers of the deck. Next is 1 Shadow Vampire. You only need 1 in the deck because having too many high-level monsters can brick. I only found out that running 2 Vampire Scarlet Scourge and 1 Shadow Vampire is the perfect number. As you can see, this is a secret rare. Look at how pretty it looks. I feel like running 1 is all you need. Plus, when you tribute summon to summon Shadow Vampire, you special summon any vampire monster from your deck, and it's the only monster I can attack. So basically, you summon Scarlet Scourge, summon a vampire monster from grave, and you could see you could keep on doing so many combos and link plays. That's what you do. You link the monsters away so that you can attack. Next up is one Vampire Red Baron. I see that you're thinking why I probably took out Vampire Grace. Well, that's because I put in some of the new cards from the Zombie Horde structure deck, and I'll get to those in a little bit. But Vampire Red Baron. This is a really good card to use for the rank 6 Exe's play of Napier the Vampire Sheridan, but I think I left him at my house, and I'm currently at my grandparents' house right now, but that's okay. I still put together a pretty good extra deck to show you guys. So this is a really good card. You pay 1,000 life points, and you target a vampire monster on your side field other than him, and you swap that vampire monster with your other opponent's monster. So basically, well, if you target your opponent's blue-white spirit dragon, they would just activate its effect. But here's the thing. You could just activate Vampire Domination to negate its effect. So basically, you would be gaining your opponent's monster's attack as their life, and I'll explain that when we get to Vampire Domination. So basically, your opponent wouldn't be doing a thing, but basically, Vampire Red Baron's creature swap. Next up, one of the biggest engines in the deck is triple Unizombie and 2 Shiranui Solitaire. So, this is how I decided to run the engine. Of course, they are the commons from the Zombie Horde structure deck. I have the super rares of Shiranui Solitaire, but I wanted to use the commons for the deck profile. Now, and of course, these are the commons that I have from over the years. So, you're probably thinking, why would you run 2 Shiranui Solitaire when you run 3 Shiranui Solitaire, 2 Unizombie? Well, I think that you want to see Shiranui Solitaire only once, because this can get ashed. If you have Unizombie in your hand, you'd want to send one of your Vampire Familiars or Retainers from your deck to the graveyard and bring it back. And then, if they try to ash your Unizombie, you could play Call by the Grave, because you see, they would just ash this straight away as soon as they summon this. They know what you're about. They know you're about to do a Synchro or a crazy U-Link play, because Shiranui Solitaire can help enable a U-Link board, but I can't do U-Link, because I don't have that option. Next up, triple Gozuki into Mizuki. Now these are the Mizuki's the monster reborn of the deck. You banish him to revive a zombie monster from the graveyard, and with Gozuki, you normal summon him, and during your main phase, you send a zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard, so essentially he's another Foolish Burial like Unizombie. I forgot to mention that about Unizombie. So with Unizombie, you normal summon him, increases level by 1, and send a zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard. And that's what he does. That's what you do. I think I did mention that. And also, you discard a card and increases level again by 1 if you wish, so you can do a higher Exe's play. And with Gozuki, if he's in the graveyard, you can banish a zombie monster from your graveyard except him to special summon a zombie monster from your hand. And that means any zombie monster. Next up is 2 Necroworld Banshee. This is one of the newest cards from the Zombie Horde structure deck. This is the reason why I want to take out Vampire Grace and some of my other vampire cards, because that's why I cut out 1 Retainer and 1 Familiar for this, and because it allows you to activate Zombie World from your deck by banishing it from your field or from your graveyard. But you see, here's the thing. If I have Vampire's Domain in my hand, I want a vampire monster in this card, like, say, Shadow Vampire, just normal summon this, activate Vampire's Domain, tribute this, summon Shadow Vampire, and then special summon any vampire monster I want from my deck. And then, I would special summon Vampire Red Baron, because I would be able to swap Shadow Vampire with the other one, and then I can banish Necroworld Banshee, and then I can activate Zombie World straight from my deck. Next up is the last monster, which I chose to replace for Vampire Grace, Doom King Baldarok. Now, I think this will be a better card to use than Vampires, and this is why I'm saying I've unlocked Vampire's true power. Because this card is the reason why Vampires are now going to be good. because this card is a walking Farfa and effect Veiler on legs. Because you see, with Farfa, when you banish a monster, it returns, but this card banishes the monster permanently, so it's a better Farfa. And then with the effect Veiler, it negates the effects. And when this card is in the graveyard, when there's a face-up field card in the field zone, during either player's standby phase, he automatically comes back every time. So basically, he's immortal and he cannot die. So basically, if you kill him and send him to the graveyard, he just comes back. The only way to get rid of him permanently is to banish him. So you would have to have Macrocosmos or Dimensional Fissure in play, or some any other card it means to get rid of him. Now onto the spells. Triple Zombie World. Now that's why I said I had Necro Banshee, Zombie World. It's the stun card of the deck. If you go up against Thunder Dragons, this card will slow them down completely. And Team Samurai X1 will explain to you why. You could go to one of his videos and he will explain to you why Zombie World is one of the best stun cards in the game. Because neither player contributes summon cards except zombie monsters. All the monsters on the field in the graveyard become zombies. And this is why Zombie World is so fitting in this deck. Because with this deck, I just think Zombie World can help unlock Vampire's true power. And Zombie World is so fitting. You probably think I should run Glow Up Bloom, but I don't want to. I don't want too many monsters in my deck to be too cloggy. I want to be able to draw my best cards, like Vampire's Domain. This card is a Gem Knight Seraph Knight. It gives me an additional normal summon vampire monster just by paying 500 life points. And when I attack a monster with a vampire monster and destroy that monster by battle, or when I inflict damage to my opponent directly, well, basically, when I inflict damage to my opponent, I gain that much life points back. So basically, I didn't lose the battle at all. I gained life points back. So basically, if I have Vampire Frontline out, like I mentioned, I give up life points. I would be basically getting that much life back if I did a direct attack. So basically, you're not losing the battle at all. You're not gambling. Next up, Double Call by the Grave. You don't want to get hand trapped. I figured this would be a more fitting card. You see, this one is a little bit more beat up. Well, that's because, you know, siblings. And this one I was able to take better care of because I was able to hide it. But, you know, this is really good for the deck because you want to protect your deck from hand traps, and this deck relies on searching. But if you call by the grave them, you're going off, you're gonna win the duel. And this is why I like this card, because it protects her deck from hand traps. But most of the time, when they know that vampires can be a bit weak, and they're just gonna let you go off because they think that you're gonna lose. But I've shown you how vampires can win with this. Vampires can win because I've shown you how vampires can unlock their true power. Next up, double Zombie Necronize. Zombie Necronize is like Sky Strike, that Sky Striker card, Widowmaker. This is like Widowmaker on crack. No joke. Because this card allows you to take your control of your opponent's monster, as long as you control a level 5 or higher zombie monster. And let me go through the cards real quick. And how many level 5 or higher zombie monsters do you have in this deck? You have quite a few, except for the level 1s and 2s. But you have quite a few. So Zombie Necronize is always going to be live. Zombie Necronize is always going to be live, no matter what. So that's why I think it was fitting to put it in the deck. You take control of your opponent's monster till the end phase, but you know, Widowmaker I think is permanent, or I think it is to the end phase. Please let me know in the comments below if Widowmaker is permanent or not. But with this card, you take control of your opponent's monster till the end phase. But this one is like better than Widowmaker, I think, because, you know, when you take control of it to the end phase, then you can link it away, do some link plays. You can basically, this card can help you fill up your board and do U-Link. U-Linking, do extra linking. I think this card can help zombies do U-Linking and extra linking. You will need this card to do extra linking, people. You need this card. And Team Samurai X1, if you're watching this, you need this card to help do extra linking. You need to run this card at 2. I'm telling you, run this card at 2. But seriously, just run it at 2. Just do it. Next up, 2 Burial from Different Dimension. No explanation why you need to run this card at 2. You target up to 3 very banished monsters, return to the graveyard. If you don't, it says up to 3, so I think that means you can target at least up to 2, put them back in the graveyard. So basically, if I have a Mizuki and a Vampire Familiar, I could just put my Mizuki and my Vampire Familiar back in the graveyard, banish Mizuki, special summon the Familiar, and search for another Vampire monster. Do another combo. 1 terraforming, search for the zombie world if I can't send the Necro or Banshee. 1 monster reborn, special summon vampire monsters or any monster I want. And lastly, the only 2 traps, Vampire Domination. It allows you to negate any spell, trap, or monster effect, so it's like a Solemn Judgment. But you can only use this card once per turn, so that's why you only run it at 2. And when you negate a monster effect, you gain that monster's attack as your life. So that's why this is a good card. Next up, onto the extra deck. 1 Vampire Sucker. This is a good card to use because you could special summon a monster from either player's graveyard and it becomes a zombie. Well, basically, if you have Zombie World on the field, it really doesn't matter because monsters in the graveyard become zombies. But when a monster is special summoned from when a zombie monster is special summoned from either player's graveyard, this card allows you to draw a card. So you have draw power in this deck, which is good. And when you would tribute summon a zombie monster, you can use this card to tribute your opponent's monsters. So that's really good. So it allows you to do a little bit of miniature board removal. 1 Beals, this is one of the miniature hardest cards to get rid of because it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. And when you take battle or effect damage, that battle damage you take gets added to that monster's attack and it's permanent. So basically, he can become a really huge beater. So basically, if I attack this card into a Chaos Max and he can't be destroyed in battle, I just make him crash, he becomes 4,000, and then, it would be even, and then I could just attack into the Chaos Max again on my next turn, and then it would be destroyed, which is very funny. Next up is the last synchro of the deck. Triple Red Eye Zombie Necro Dragon. This is going to be one of the biggest mirrors of the deck, because with Zombie World on the field, this card gains 100 attack for every zombie monster in the graveyard, so basically on your graveyard, which, every monster in your graveyard will be a zombie, because vampires and your other zombie cards that I showed you will be zombies. And with this card, that's going to be really huge, and your opponent's graveyard, they will also be zombies due to Zombie World. And with this really huge card, when you destroy a monster by battle, you can special summon a zombie monster from either graveyard, so you can special summon back one of your own or your opponent's. I would rather do my own sometimes, so I could just do more combo plays. Next up is 2 Wee Witch's Apprentice. This is why it's like a budget structure deck. But Wee Witch's Apprentice requires 2 dark monsters. It's a generic link 2 dark. It boosts your monster's attack by 500. So basically, I could just link this away and bring it back with Monster Reborn or something. It just, it just makes him bigger, beefy beater. And plus, she would become a zombie. Next up is Double Nightmare Phoenix and Double Nightmare Cerberus. These is my Nightmare package. I do not have Nightmare Unicorn at the moment, but this is like a small Nightmare package right now. This is good enough. Nightmare Phoenix pops spells and traps. Nightmare Cerberus pops your monsters. Your opponent's special summon monsters, which is good. This is what you need. Like, this is small enough, and these are some of the cheapest nightmares. I think Nightmare Unicorn is also really cheap right now. I think I'll pick that up in the future. And lastly, my last card is Lamphorticus, the generic normal Link 2. This is because if my opponent uses Quaking Mirror Force on me, you can use the face down. You see, people think face down first position monsters cannot be used for Link material. Well, you're wrong. Because if the Link monster just says 2 monsters, only 2 monsters, you can use those. You could use face down defensive position monsters as Link material to summon Lamphorticus, and you can also summon Proxy Dragon. And so that is it for my vampire deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed. Oh, and Team X1, if you're watching this, I hope you saw it, because this, I have unlocked Vampire's true power, and this helps vampires a lot. I know you could probably add other cards to make it better, like Dampier, and I will add Dampier to my extra deck when I go back home, but I just hope you see this, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope all of you guys enjoyed it as well. And I'm going to take this to my locals this weekend and see how it plays out. And this is Brain Nerd 225 signing out.